Evening, everybody. It's a few minutes after 6 on Tuesday evening, the 29th. Tomorrow's the last trading day of the month. And by the way, the Nasdaq actually went back to down on the month with today's action. The rest of the markets really didn't do much. The Dow was down, came back. I think the low was down about 180. It actually closed up $3.07. I'm not even going to bother with a percentage. Um, there's plenty to be concerned about here. Um, we have the Democrats doing what Democrats always do, which is overreach. And they're talking about jamming some congressional decision on their strike down their throats. I find that particularly humorous only because Marty Walsh is the Secretary of Labor. He was our mayor here. He's a real good guy, but he's a real union guy. And I'm wondering if that leaves kind of a bad taste in his mouth. The Transportation Secretary, who, you know, never held a job that had that kind of responsibility, hasn't been heard from in the last couple of days while this was going on. Nasdaq closed down 65.72, or just under 0.6%. S&P down $6.31. The Russell up $5.59. So you can see that the kind of day that it was. And the transports, which I guess are figuring that there's not going to be a rail or truck strike, closed up 224.68, or 1.6%. Market internals were just okay. The New York was 1.2 to 1 up. It had been as much as 2, or a little higher than 2 to 1 higher. Nasdaq closed just about 1 to 1, leaning to the negative side. I think 2,300 up, 2100 up, 2,300 down. So nothing much there. Volume did expand a bit. Yesterday, I think it was 4.2. Today, it was 4.5. So it is improving a little. But, there's no real way to judge the market when you have these kind of very quiet days. Um, Lots of news. Individual companies. Horizon Pharmaceutical. This is a company that was as high recently as 120, sold off and came back and made a slightly lower high to 117, and then fell by half down to 57. Um, Today, this afternoon, they halted it for news, and it's HZNP. When they reopened it, it was 107, up 29 on the news that the company is, in fact, um, putting itself up for sale, it looks like. Now, this is an Irish company. The reason I mention that is not because I'm bigoted, but because there's a law in Ireland that says that now that they've done that and they have suitors, they've mentioned 3 or 4, including Amgen, I believe. They have until a date in early January to confirm back to the public what their plan is going to be and who they're considering. Kind of decent. Okay, this morning I told you about DEGI. That is, I'm trying to remember the full name, but it's the digital. DEGI. Sorry to keep you waiting, folks. Nope, can't find it. Okay. In any event, the stock had a huge move of late, and they also, this is kind of interesting and strange because of the juxtaposition of the two announcements. They reverse split this stock 1 for 100 very recently. Um, the stock ran up. It was as high recently as, well, the adjusted high price on this because of the numerous reverses is 880. And today it closed $4.73. That was down $2.47. This morning, when I mentioned it to you, it was $6.23, down just 97 cents. But what I'm talking about is that they reversed it. The stock ran up on diminished shares outstanding, and now they're doing a deal. So they reversed it to turn around and reissue shares at a higher price. I'm guessing that their shareholders are not overwhelmed with that, and it seems like down 34%, they voted with their feet. After the close, we had earnings, CrowdStrike, Workday, Intuit, and HP Enterprises. Um, the CRWD closed at 138, down $1.45. The earnings were a miss. It traded down to 111 from 138. Came back a tiny little bit, and the last I have on it, and these things go till 8 o'clock. That's why I always say the last, not the close. 114.68, down $24.37, or 18%. Workday beat, um, and it actually had a pretty decent day. Let me just, this one for the last couple of days, I've been noticing when the market was up or down, 100, 300, 500. This one was up or down only modestly. I mean, single digits or a fraction. So, so they beat. The stock had closed regular hours 143.30, and that was down $1.95, and rallied up as high as, well, it's right on the high. The high was 157.10. The last is 156.96. That's up $11.71, or 8%. So not bad there. Intuit um, had a beat, but guided lower. It had closed at 379.71, down 593, traded down to 366, and the last trade there, looks like it's not on this chart because they don't go extra hours. 373.50, and that's down $12.14. So it did come back a little from that 366 bottom, but not overwhelmingly. HP Enterprises, they beat even though they had a loss. The stock had closed at 1564, down 9 cents. It rallied up to 1698, and the last there is 1580, and that's up a quarter. It's actually up 34 cents from the close. So really not too bad there. Okay, let's get back to the futures. The most important chart on the futures, as far as I'm concerned today, is coffee, because we're in it. We have a trade in the JO calls, which is the ETF for coffee, and we bought it yesterday, right about mid-range, closed at smidge higher, opened, was down a little today, closed pretty much on the high of the day. 168.90, up $6.05, 3.72. Our options were substantially higher. I believe that let me just see where they closed. Uh, they closed at $1.31, up 51 cents with a high of $1.36. We may actually get a shot at selling the first half of them as early as tomorrow on the 100% up rule. So a really nice day there. Gold was up 840. The oil was up again after yesterday's dip and reversal. It was actually up just under $80, 79.65, but it closed 78.20, up 96 cents. Gold was up 840. Bitcoin was up 275. The dollar was up about 14 cents. Bonds were down 3/4 of a point. Nat gas was up a big 4 cents after yesterday's move back down. And the silver, I'm only going to mention this because I've mentioned it a couple of times as to how silver outperforms in both directions. The gold today was up $8.40, which was 0.48, just under a half a percent. The silver was up 31 cents to 21.43, and that was 1.48%. So roughly 3 to 1. All right, folks, that's about it. Tomorrow we have also a bunch of news, economic news. Uh, Mortgage index, probably lower. The ADP employment change, they're looking for a consensus of 200,000 versus a prior of 239. That's at 8:15. At 8:30, we have October International Goods Trade, which is, of course, a deficit. October Advanced Retail Inventories. October Advanced Wholesale Inventory. Second estimate of third quarter GDP. At 9:45, we have the November Chicago PMI. At 10 o'clock, we have October pending home sales. At 10:30, we have weekly crude oil inventories. What's probably more important is the fact that Fed Chairman Powell's speech on Wednesday in I'm trying to remember where it is. It's at one of the it's at Brookings Institute, and the speech is entitled "Economic Outlook, Inflation, and the Labor Market." If you heard any of the Fed speakers in the last couple of days, you would have heard more hawkish talk. So we'll have to see. I'm guessing that's the way it's going to go tomorrow. All right, folks, have a good evening. I'll be back first thing in the morning with those numbers.